What's up, guys? Eli here. I'm back for my part two video to the other one that I did. Best my 20 is it 20? Yeah, my 20 top post 2000 death metal albums. I should probably note that I can't really say that this is like a definitive best 20. I mean, they're basically out of albums that I own. I mean, I've heard, as you all have, I've heard a good handful of albums over the years that I thought were awesome, and I haven't got around to buying yet. But I just thought it'd be tacky to include albums that I don't even own, and that goes for all my videos. I'm only ever going to talk about something that I own and I can actually show. I mean, I just think it's lame, and I know you all you guys do that too. So I'm pretty sure you agree. But anyway, let's get started. Start with number 10, work our way up to number 1. So number 10 being Obliteration with Black Death Horizon. A lot of you guys probably have heard this album. You probably remember it. You probably thought it was awesome. This band was gaining a lot of buzz over the last. Well, the buzz has kind of died down as they've been kind of quiet. I've noticed this album came out in I don't know, at least 3-4 years ago. But anyway, this death metal out of Norway. They have 3 albums. This being their third. Their first album was just kind of okay, good, but nothing to really get too excited about. But man, they put out a second album called Necrosoms, which was fucking amazing. That as soon as I heard that, this band was just on my radar, and they still are. This album is killer. I have a hard time deciding. I think it's probably better than Necrosoms, but it's so hard to say because that album is so good. But I don't own Necrosoms. I do own their first album, and I own this one, so I chose this one. It's great. If you haven't heard Obliteration, man, go look them up. Man, they will. If you're a death metal fan, they will blow your mind, at least I think. Number 9. Here's another killer one that all you guys have heard or heard of, and 9 out of 10 of you own. Lucifer with Sun Eater. Lucifer, hell yeah. Goddamn, man. Dark Descent Records. I own a lot of Dark Descent stuff. What can I say about Lucifer? They aren't really like a straight death metal band. I do consider them more death metal than anything. They're probably more of a Black Death, but I mean, labels, who's to fucking say? But just a very evil, chaotic death metal, dark, and goddamn, man, if you haven't heard this album, if you like dissonant, dark, chaotic shit, go look into this one because it will also change your mind. Just think of like not as weird as Portal, but along those lines of just madness, but less of a muddy sound and more, I don't know. Portal's the kind of a good comparison, but they got their own thing going on, absolutely. So yeah, look into Lucifer if you haven't heard them. Like I said, Dark Descent Records, and I forgot to say Obliteration was from Relapse, which is funny as fuck because Relapse, as we all know, goddamn, that label has just been shitty as fuck for like the last 10 years. But you know, death metal is cool again, so retarded labels like Relapse and Century Media and Nuclear Blast are signing death metal, and they're signing good bands, I will admit, but so it's not the band's fault, but those labels, fuck those guys, man. Number 8, we have an album that came out 2016, I think, might have been 2015, and this album went so much under the radar for so many people, as it doesn't even have any reviews on Metal Archives, and everything I'm gonna show probably will. And yeah, I just felt like this album is very underappreciated. I think the band felt it was underappreciated. They do consider it their best, however, and this is a band that's been around since the 90s, actually late 80s. That is Acheron with Cult de Haas. Who knows what that release? Cult de Hasis. Don't know what it means, never bother to look it up. Acheron, I've always felt Acheron were a underrated death metal band. I mean, they got some killer albums in their discography. So go look into those if you haven't heard them. You probably do if you're a death metal fan you've been listening to for a number of years. You will at least have heard of Acheron. But anyway, this album is their last album. It's going to be their final album, from what I have heard and read. This album is very good. I mean, it's not, like I said, the band considers it their best, and I actually have said that myself. If not their best, it's at least in their top 3, and that is a big feat for a band that's been around for, do the math, almost 30 years. Incredible. It's a great album. Listen to it. Wow, I can't recommend it enough. Number 7, we have an album that I've shown at least once, probably twice, but here it comes again because it fits. That's going to be Drawn and Quartered with Merciless Hammer of Lucifer. What a title, man. I have the double disc version, which it's very fucking cool. You can still get it from Moribund Records last I checked. I like it because it has this bonus disc. Check that out. Beware Necro, and it is fucking Necro as shit. It's basically, from what I can tell, it doesn't really say anywhere, but it's, I guess it does. It says right at the bottom, I never even bothered. It's a compilation album. It's got songs off a canceled split that never happened. Some session tracks they didn't use, which, I know that most of the time that means throwaway tracks, but I think it's killer. It's got some tracks off their Crusaders of Blasphemy EP, which I don't even know if that's ever been pressed officially. I could be wrong. I've never fucking seen it. Anyhow, yeah, look into getting this double disc version. I don't know actually if they made a non-double disc version, but yeah, this album is so fucking good. I've already talked about Drawn and Quartered a bunch. Any of you guys that are going to watch this, you already know. You've already chimed in and said that you dig them as well. So, Drawn and Quartered, man, evil, and very underrated death metal from Seattle. I hate drawing, just giving weak ass, lazy comparisons. Obviously, that's kind of what I do, but reference points, I guess I'd like to call them. Incantation is definitely something you hear when you listen to Drawn and Quartered. Maybe even a little bit of Immolation vibe, but they definitely do their own thing and they're great at it. One of the best death metal bands from the U.S. Definitely one of the best around right now. So I think that was number 7. We'll move on to number 6, which, whatever, probably 6. Vomitoria with Terrorize, Brutalize, Sodomize. What a title yet again. I had a hard time. I definitely wanted to pick a Vomitoria album, and I was definitely set on it. Had a hard time picking which one because all their albums are very good. They don't have a weak album. And sorry about the glare. My goddamn glasses. Fuck glasses. I can't get away from it. Anyways, their post-2000 stuff is amazing. Like I said, I probably sat there for 10 minutes picking which one, and I just finally just grabbed this one. Said, fuck it. Great album. What can I say about Vomitoria? Legendary Swedish death metal. They never got the acclaim that a lot of their brothers did from Sweden. I think they came a little bit after, which is probably why I don't think they were quite there for the big boom with Unleashed and Entombed, Nihilist, what have you. I'm pretty sure that's the reason. There could be other reasons. They're definitely legends. People definitely love them. But like I said, I've always felt they were underrated, especially being from Sweden. They have just as good of a discography as Entombed. Actually, they have a better discography as Entombed. Even rivaling Dismember, I would say. But fuck do I know. So that was number 6, I think. We'll find out if I'm wrong. It'll be embarrassing. Next, number 5. Deteriors with The Faithless. I would have gone, trust me, I would have gone for their first album, In Ancient Beliefs, but I don't own it. It's kind of hard to find right now. I got a burnt copy that Paul from the band sent me, so I got that, but I'm not going to show a fucking CDR. Anyways, that album has been long out of press, and it's hard to find right now, so haven't been able to procure a copy yet. I don't even think Paul, well, he might have a copy for himself, but he doesn't have any extras. Anyway, this is from Extreme Music. I've talked about Extreme. It is a label out of Spain, killer label too. Label out of Spain, pretty much all death metal. It is ran by Dave Rotten of, a fucking shitload of bands. Christ Denied being one that I really like. Putrivore. Oh, Avulst. Avulst has always been his main band. But anyway, we're talking about Deteriors. I'm getting off track. Oh yeah, signed by the way. You can see that's signed by Paul Zavaleta. Cool guy. Talked to him on Facebook. Deteriors, death metal out of New Jersey. Started in the early 90s. They had a lot of speed bumps, I guess you would say. A lot of periods of inactivity. They only have 2 albums despite being around since, I don't know, for sure 90, 91, 92 maybe, somewhere around there. Only 2 albums, an EP, a couple demos, but killer fucking stuff. Like I said, I do, and no disrespect to Paul or the band, I mean, I do feel that In Ancient Beliefs is a better album than this, but that's not that's not to say that this isn't a good one. I still chose it over many other albums. So this album is still very good. There's at least a 10, shit, more than that, 15 or 20-year period. I can't remember when that album came out. But anyway, there's a big-ass gap between that and this. So to come back with an album like this is very impressive. What did Deteriors sound like? A lot of people compare them to Incantation, and I know Paul personally hates that comparison because he says he never took any. He likes Incantation, but he never took any inspiration from them. Never wanted to sound like them. In his words, and basically what he wanted to do with Deteriors when forming the band, he wanted to play more in like the '90s Finnish style, you know, more like Demigod, stuff like that. He also loves the first early My Dying Bride, early Paradise Lost. There is some slower. There are always some with this band. There's always a lot of slower, doomy moments. You know, kind of like Autopsy and Incantation would do, kind of, you know, to break up the fast stuff. So I wouldn't really label it as doom death, but there is some doom influence, absolutely. Not so much doom, but doom death influences. Anyways, I've said enough. Absolutely one of the most underrated death metal bands, not only from the U.S., but just ever. It's kind of a shame, but they really need to repress An Ancient Beliefs. I want to say it's in the works, but I'm not positive. Anyways, track down a copy if you want, pay $50 for it or something, which I probably will do eventually if they don't repress it. So whatever. Deterior rules. Yeah, that was number 5. So moving on to number 4, we got Vital Remains, Icons of Evil. Let's take that slipcase off, because if you haven't seen the real cover, you got to. How cool is that? Yeah, but it's one of my favorite album cover artworks ever. It's so fucking cool. Look at the back too. Glenn Benton was in the band, wearing armor and shit. I heard he wore it live. From what I've heard, I didn't get to see them then. I missed them actually. They came to my city when Benton was still in the band, and I don't know what the fuck happened, but I wasn't able to go. I did see them recently, however, but sorry, it just wasn't the same. Anyways, God, I cannot stay focused. I would have picked Dechristianized. I do think Dechristianized, which is the album before this one, is a better album than this, quite a bit better. But I already showed that in my last death metal series, or whatever you want to call it, so I didn't want to show it twice. Yeah, I do think that the Vital Remains, Icons of Evil, is kind of like a little brother to Dechristianized. It definitely sounds along the same lines as that album, not quite as good, but it's still, I love this album. And to be honest, it got a lot of hate, and I never really quite understood. Most of the complaints are that, you know, the songs are too long, it's a little bit too drawn out. I can see that. I mean, the songs are long as fuck. Oh, it doesn't say on the back, but most of the songs are 6 to 8 minutes long, something like that. There's a lot of long songs anyway. But anyway, I don't know. I can kind of see some of the complaints, but for me, I like it for what it is, so I love it. All right, number 3. And like I said, I wanted to choose more obscure bands, and I kind of did, but I'm breaking the rules in a couple areas, and like I said, I feel it's kind of unfair, but the albums that I'm choosing that are from somewhat bigger bands, I feel like are kind of underrated albums, so whatever. And it's my video, so I don't think you give a shit. Just wanted to say that all. Number 3, Hate Eternal with I Monarch. Maybe you'll disagree big time. Maybe you'll say, hey, that album is super well known and everyone's heard it, whatever. Hate Eternal are fairly popular. But I don't know, man. I have heard a lot of people say they like this album a lot. I've heard a lot of people say it's their favorite Hate Eternal album. This album just, for me, is great. I hold it in such high regard, so I couldn't not show it in a video like this. I like the first two Hate Eternal albums a lot, but anything after this hasn't really... I think they're very good, but they kind of lost me a little bit. And what's cool about I Monarch is when compared to all their albums, I mean, it sounds nothing like anything they've ever done. This album is just... I honestly, it sounds like nothing I've even heard, which is what's so fucking cool about it. It's very experimental, very, very Voivod inspired, I would say, with the riff work. Very, just pretty much all dissonant riffs. This album is fast and it's technical, but it has songs. It's not just a compilation of wankery. I mean, Eric Rutan, of course, is a great fucking guitarist. So of course, he's going to do a lot of shredding, you know, showing off and stuff. But like I said, this is an album of actual songs, not just an album of solos and riffs. So I love it, man. I think it's fucking amazing. Number 2, we have another one of my, well, I keep saying another one of my favorites. These are all my favorites. I don't need to say that shit. Coffins with Buried Death. Oh, fuck. $20 spin. This album is so good. I think it's easily the best thing Coffins have ever done. Easily. I might have showed this in another video, too. I can't remember for sure, but it doesn't matter. This is definitely my number 2 pick. If you haven't heard this album, you're missing out. Excellent, dirty, down-tuned doom death. Goddamn, just think of a mixture of fucking Hellhammer. What else would you say? I don't know. Hellhammer. Winter. I would say heavy dose of Winter. Goddamn, this album is just so good. Catchy riffs. Very simplistic, plodding songs, but they are songs. They are catchy and they are memorable. So that's all I have to say about that. Japanese doom death. You all probably know them, but if you haven't heard that exact album, get it. All right, number 1. Here we go. This shouldn't be much of a surprise because I used the fucking cover as my thumbnail picture for this video, but I don't know what I was thinking, but it's too late. I already did it. Deceased with Supernatural Addiction. Relapse Records. We all know how Deceased feels about Relapse, and I feel about Relapse about the same way. Yeah, man. Deceased. What can I say? This is probably absolutely my favorite death metal album post 2000. I fucking love it. Deceased are an amazing band, and I feel like I do go back and forth between that and a few of their other albums, but I do feel like this is their best. Can I say about Deceased that hasn't been said? Man, they've been around for well over 30 years now. King Fally, singer and drummer, is just an absolute maniac. He's a legend, absolute legend in the metal world. Very outspoken. People either love him or hate him. Most people love him, but whatever. That's not really the point. It's all about the music, and Deceased are a great band. They honestly, they have never put out anything even remotely subpar. Their last album, even the one that they did, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, was killer. I couldn't believe how good it sounded for a band that had been around so long. I can't even really go into that much detail about this album. I don't even know what to say about it. It's just an amazing death metal album, and you need to hear it. That's all I'm going to say. I know Deceased are pretty well known. You know who they are, but I feel like a lot of the younger people, a lot of the younger metal fans are kind of discovering them or haven't quite heard them. So if any of you are watching a little younger, never heard Deceased, go listen to this album. I think you'll dig it. I'd be surprised if any of the older metal fans haven't heard it, but hey, if there are any out there that haven't heard it, go check it out. Check all these out, of course. Why else would I be fucking talking about them? Anyways, thoughts, comments. I'm sure at least a few of you will chime in, and that's awesome. Can't wait to hear what you think. And any of you non-YouTubers, why don't you go ahead and talk to me about your favorite, because you guys are just as cool. Talk about your favorite post-2000 death metal albums. I think it's an interesting topic. Like I said, I got the idea from Brandon over at Scourge of Vinyl. I did mine slightly different than his, but I definitely just stole the idea right from him. Which is, it was such a good idea, I could not do it. I was excited to do it. It's been cool. After this, my next video, I'm going to do another 2-parter, and it's going to be about my top, or my, I guess you could call it my top 20 black metal albums. Not the top, I don't know, 20 albums that got me into black metal. I guess we'll leave it at that, because I was going through them, and I was actually having a hard time putting them in any kind of order. I don't know why. It just felt weird to me. So I think I'm just going to show them randomly. I think is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to put them in a stack and grab them. But anyway, I will show the 20 albums that got me into black metal, and that had the most impact. The first couple years I was into it. I'm going to stop rambling. I will talk to you guys soon, hopefully, and have a great day. Thanks for stopping by.